Hey guys, welcome here and welcome back to the second installment of our collaboration with Blue Collar Future, Utah Hustlers, and Real You. This is body. Is that what you?
Yep. We're talking about body, fitness, health, that kind of stuff today.
All that stuff. And all of my listeners know that I go over that a lot, but we're going to get some other insight here too, which is going to be cool. So let's just get right into it. So fitness, something all of my listeners know that I talk about a lot, and it's super important. And I like to think that it's the most important. Your mindset goes so much into your fitness, which we talked about last time. But if your body is not where it needs to be or should be, you really can't perform the way you should. And this goes beyond immediate results. This is about taking care of yourself for the future, which I think is why so many people have a hard time seeing it, because not only are the results slow, but they can't see that taking care of themselves now will set them up for success in 10 years or 20 years or 30 years. And I want to hear you guys' opinion on that.
Well, even with that, I love I had a baseball coach say, look good, feel good, play good. And he actually came in and we got all new jerseys, everything. And he's like, look, guys, if we look good and we feel good, we're going to play good. And we had the most winning season we had for a long time. And I'm like, well, so I use that a lot, right? So even, all the things that you just shared, it also gives confidence. You feel good about yourself,
Oh, yeah.
That's what I love the most about it. And I actually base a lot of my fitness goals off of how am I going to feel? A lot of people are like, I want to weigh this weight. And I'm like, I don't care what I weigh. How do I fit in my clothes? How confident am I? How can I perform? That's a big thing I base my fitness off of.
Yeah. Fitness, I think it's one of those things that bleeds into everything. It bleeds into your business. And you'll hear this from a lot of different people, but it'll bleed into your business. It'll bleed into your relationships. It'll bleed into your mindset. I think it's just like you said, Jaden, it's one of those things that it affects everything. And I personally set my goals depending on where I'm at. Right now, I'm more in this season of working on my business more, but that doesn't mean I neglect my fitness either. Every day I'm doing something, even if it's just a quick 5-minute workout. I'm doing something to make sure I maintain my strength and I don't get soft, you know?
Yeah.
So
there's so many rabbit holes we can go down with this. And I think about this a lot because it's always at the forefront of my mind. I see people on job sites that walk around and are overweight and they just don't look happy. And, you can chalk that up to being in construction. A lot of people just don't look happy in construction, but you can tell a difference when someone's walking around overweight. They're struggling to walk around. They don't feel good. It seeps into everything, and it seeps into how people perceive you. It seeps into your own confidence level. So a lot of what I target fitness with is you really need to focus on building your body because it affects how much energy you have. It affects how well you can learn on the job. This goes into your sleep, how good at sleep you have. Really, it affects your whole life. If you have bad sleep, you're really not going to perform through the day. And if you're unhealthy and in poor health, you're not going to be able to do as much, and it's going to be harder to do basic things. So that's a lot of what I take the angle from.
yeah, I heard recently someone say when it comes to health, fitness, your diet, all that stuff, it's always the choice of feel good now or feel good later. So if you're going to do an hour workout, working out hard, lifting weights, sweating, you aren't going to feel good. I feel proud of myself, but my body doesn't like it.
Yeah.
Versus if I just lay on the couch, my body loves it. Or if I don't eat that donut, then I'll have more energy later and I'll feel better later. But if I eat that donut now, I'll feel good then. So you're making a choice. Do you want to feel good now or later?
Yep.
Let's be honest. We work out hard so we can eat the donut. Right?
Yeah.
Well, that's the funny thing is a lot of people, when I first started working out, we talked earlier about off camera about stigmas. And when I started working out, there was a ton of stigmas and it goes from one end of, oh, you work in construction, you must be breaking down your body. Get ready for all of these surgeries and stuff, back pain, shoulder pain, all that. Goes from that to, oh, you look good. It's just because you work in construction. And I'm like, Interesting.
Look
So
at
you
that guy.
yeah, look
Right?
at this guy. Like
Yeah.
like you can have so many different stigmas around it to where people are just making excuses
Yeah.
for you as to why you have success and they don't. And that's really how it goes because it's like they're trying to justify why you are better off than they are. And that's what I've noticed. And you know, people don't really want you to succeed in that because a lot of people it's hard for them and it's hard to see other people that are taking care of themselves because it is so hard in the moment for everybody that they want to justify why they're not.
I've got a question for both of you to kind of like tie into that. I think a lot of people in conversations that I've had, a lot of people don't work out because they're like, I hate running and I hate walking and,
Yeah.
you know, and all these things. Well, when I hired a coach to, you know, accomplish some goals that I wanted to in fitness, they were like, no, we're going to do like hardly any cardio. And I'm like, what?
Yeah.
I like, everybody says, you know, like that's what working out is. And he's like, yeah, he's like, we want you to get, you know, around 10,000 steps a day. But he's like, you're going to get quite a bit, just your normal lifestyle. So go for a little walk just to kind of move your body and stuff. But he's like, we're going to accomplish all of these goals through the food you eat and lifting heavy weights.
Yep.
And I'm like, wait, won't I get injured lifting heavy? And he's like, no. He's like,
Opposite.
he's like, we want you to lift really heavy, like max out all the time. He's like, don't injure yourself, right? Like you've got to be smart and gauge that, you know, but he's like, if 35 pounds is like almost going to crush you, you know, drop it to 25 and build up to the 35. Like, but he's like, you need to be like, he kind of coached me. He's like, your last couple reps need to be dang near failure. And I'm like, interesting. And I'm like, you're the coach, dude. And I was kind of like hesitant going into this program. Well, within a month, like I was dropping body fat like crazy and building muscle. And I'm like, I haven't gone on runs. I haven't been on the bicycle. I haven't done any of that crap that we all hate, right? This is freaking cool. So it changed my whole stigma of working out. Like, what is your guys' experience and thoughts on that? Because I see this, like, there was a lady my wife worked with, and she like was getting really fat, and my wife's like, you should lift weights. She's like, no, I don't want to get big. And she's like, you are though, like, right? And like,
That's how it goes.
Yeah, it was really interesting. So like, what's been your guys', I don't know, what kind of program do you guys follow and your experience and all those things?
Like all growing up, like I've been pretty fit. My mom just was really into health and fed us really healthy. So I've never had to lose weight, but I've been wanting to like gain more muscle, and I've done that over time. But when I don't know, I think it was 17, 18 like that, my family had the P90X on DVD.
Oh yeah.
And so I went through the first P90X, and then a while later I went through the second P90X, and then I've done this third P90X a couple times. So to me, those were just easy because I can just follow the guy and do those exercises, and I'm done. And especially the third one, they're 30-minute workouts. And so
Not that long.
they're not that long. They're just intense. So it's more the intensity than the duration of it. But again, the other half of that is the food, what you eat. And I think, fortunate enough to have a mom that was very healthy and like very educated in that stuff and taught me a lot about that. And so now what I buy now is like chicken, rice, carrots, bananas, things like that. And I think one of the stigmas I hear all the time talking about those is it's expensive to eat really healthy.
Oh, that's a good topic.
And I buy 8 bananas for $1.50. And then 2 full bags of carrots that last me 2 weeks for like $5.
Well, and do you notice you don't eat as much when you do eat really good?
Yeah, dude, I just don't eat enough. I'd probably be a lot bigger right now.
Yeah.
Like, actually,
Yeah.
like I need to get like 6,000 calories in if I want to really start gaining. But yeah, like you don't eat as much because it's not like this big
It's nutrient dense.
delicious donut that's just like, oh, I need another one.
Has nothing in it.
You eat for fuel, and I feel great all the time. Like it's when I don't eat healthy that I don't feel as good. But because I eat healthy all the time, I can have that donut. I can have the pizza, and I'm just fine because everything else that I'm doing, the other 90% of the time, is like for me on point.
Yeah, there's a couple things there. When I started working out, I didn't necessarily eat the greatest before, but when I started working out, crap food makes me sick. Fast food started to over time, and fast food and gas station food is a big part of construction life.
Oh man.
And
Convenience.
it is, it's memes out there, and everybody does it, and it started
They're
making
pretty
me
funny too.
Yeah. Well, it's true, and because everybody does it, and that's how people live
Yeah.
in construction. It started making me sick. It started making me like I would smell Arby's, like you can smell an Arby's when you drive by it, right?
Yeah.
And it started like making my stomach churn, like just gross, and it was stuff like that I started to realize I wasn't eating, crap. Like I would notice people that are big and they're freaking pounding food. And I tell people I eat whatever I want, but what I want isn't like, 3,000 calories of garbage.
You crave fuel, not junk.
Yeah. And not to say I don't eat junk. Like, I still eat donuts. In fact, even after I worked out, I love donuts. And so I used to eat like a couple donuts every morning. I'd get donuts.
Yeah, you ate quite a few at my house when we were doing some cement.
Yeah, I know. I know. I love donuts, but I can because the rest
You've earned it.
Well, exactly. You earn it, and it's not so much about burning that off. It's about you're not eating so much all the time. So I don't really eat in the morning, and it's just kind of how this has gone. Like I just don't really eat in the morning anymore, and I'm not really very hungry. So that closes my eating window a ton. And what I notice is so many people eat a big breakfast, big lunch. They go out to lunch with people, and a huge dinner. A lot of times I don't even eat lunch. A lot of times, like I don't eat breakfast, and if I don't make a lunch and bring it, I don't have lunch either. So I can eat like basically whatever I want, and I'm not gonna be in a bad shape. But also, I don't really feel bad if I skip lunch and breakfast and lunch.
Mm-hmm.
I feel fine, and so it's really come down to it. It makes me realize that we do not need food as much as we think, and the times that I want more food is when I'm sitting around.
Mm.
It is so much easier for me to not overeat when I'm on the job working,
Busy and doing
busy,
stuff.
moving around, doing workouts, being on the job. Like I'm not really very hungry on the job.
Well, and think about it. Like, do you ever just stop at a gas station to fuel your truck up just because?
No.
No, we
No.
fuel up. We fuel our vehicles when they need fuel.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I started making that connection like with food. I'm like, wait, food is fuel.
Yeah.
It is meant to fuel our body, the muscle, the tissues, our brain, our organs. Like it is a fuel for them.
Mhm.
But we've turned it into this pleasure thing. And like the pleasure, like I
yeah.
love a donut once in a
Oh,
while.
yeah.
Like the bakery,
Dude, I've
Those
wanted to
donuts I
drive.
bought-
I
yeah.
wanted to drive up there just to get those donuts.
They're
so
good, right? They're way good. So there's nothing wrong with those things,
Yeah.
but it's the
It's the amount.
every day, all the
It's the
time.
amount.
You know?
So that's what I really started to notice is people eat a ton all the time.
yeah.
And what I want isn't that. So I tell people I eat whatever I want. And yeah, I do a lot, but the work I do doesn't necessarily contribute a ton to how many calories I burn. Like maybe a little bit, and the workouts, it's more about what you eat. And I just don't eat a lot. But I mean, I eat a lot, or at least I feel like. But then you see someone that's big and they eat a lot. Like they eat double or triple what I eat. And it's because they do huge meals all the time and they order every single thing they possibly can. So like, I focus on eating, like I'll eat hamburgers all the time, but I don't necessarily order fries all the time. And if I do, it's like I don't really get a large fry. And it's like these decisions you make, like the portions are out of control here. So it's like being conscious about what you eat is kind of one of the first things. And it's really the most important because no matter what, if you're overeating, you're going to gain weight. Even if you're working out, if you overeat, you're going to gain weight. And whether or not it's good weight is going to depend on your macros. It's going to depend on how many calories you're eating. So like, you're eating 3,000 calories, but not very much protein. You're going to get fat. Even though you're working out, you're going to get fat.
Yeah.
Like it's super important. It's probably the most important.
So I want to talk more about the intermittent fasting you're doing. You never even said intermittent fasting, but like that's kind of what you're doing is you're not eating until noon a lot of the times, it sounds like.
Yeah.
Do you do that? Like when did that start? Why did you start doing that? And what are the benefits to weight and later in the day to eat.
Yeah, I mean, I was kind of doing that before I heard about intermittent fasting, and then I got a little bit more intentional about it. And I started to notice that food in the moment, like right after you eat, doesn't really give you energy because it takes away from your body because you have to digest it. So in the morning, you eat first thing, like you're really not on all there. Like your body's like trying to wake up. You're trying to digest a bunch of food. You know, some people, if they don't eat breakfast, they get sick. I've never been like that. So for me, it makes me feel, I mean, I feel way better if I don't eat. And I can eat like, you know, every once in a while I'd stop at a gas station and get a little pack of donuts or something. But it's like I'm not eating a ton. So it's intermittent fasting, but it's kind of not.
It's just what works for you, not really a schedule.
Yeah. And so I wake up at like 4:30 or 5, and I bring a sandwich to work, and I usually eat that at like anywhere from 10 to noon. But a lot of times I have to make myself eat it too. But it's like I've noticed at work, the more I eat, the more tired I feel. So it was more of a decision in my mind to kind of, it just made me feel better. It like made me feel more there and have more energy, if that makes it. I mean, to some people that doesn't make sense, but like it really takes a lot of energy out of you to eat a huge meal. And like, you know, how often have you felt awesome and super energized after eating a huge meal?
I want to take a nap.
Yeah.
Well, that's so like turkey, thinking of Thanksgiving. Yeah, they always said it was turkey. I seen a study that they did, and it's not like turkey has nothing that'll put you to sleep. It's actually because you eat way too freaking much and it puts you to sleep, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, if that's the case, then it applies to everything.
So on that, and then we'll stray a little bit from the intermittent fasting thing, like, you know, all of these things are just tools, right? And intermittent fasting, along with ice baths and all these things, are like people try to use them as like the end all be all and the things that are going to save you. At the end of the day, what intermittent fasting does is shorten your eating window, and that's why it works, because you just don't have time to eat, like, you know, all that food. So it's really hard to overeat. But I saw something that was saying recently that the majority of people gain like 90% of the weight that they gain in like the last 2 months of the year, because you have
holidays.
You have Halloween, Thanksgiving, and Christmas and New Year's. And usually you have like multiple parties for each. And people just gorge themselves on food every single time and eat garbage and junk and all that. And that's how the weight gain goes. It's not necessarily every day. It's a couple times you put on a couple pounds because of these huge meals that you have for a few weeks. And then you have to sit there and fight to, you know, get rid of that. So like even on those holidays, I don't overeat. I have like a plate or two. Like I started to get to the point too where eating too much, it just makes me feel bad.
It makes you feel like crap.
Yeah, and I hate it. Like I used to think that was cool, and it's like, why have we made it cool to feel like crap because you ate too much? It's the same thing with drinking alcohol.
Well, it's the same thing with like eat everything on your plate. Don't be wasteful. Same thing.
Yeah, well, and that's what's making kids fat.
I mean, my wife and I are working to break that because, like, so last weekend we went to a Jazz game, went out to eat and stuff, and she wasn't feeling good, and so she didn't eat all of her food. Yeah, and she's like, "Oh, I feel bad. I should eat." I'm like, "Who cares?
Yeah, why?
If you don't like, I'm like, if you're hungry an hour from now, we'll buy you something later. Like, don't let that programming, you know, cause a negative effect on you.
Yeah,
right.
I think it's do whatever you can to, you know, as parents, you can not put so much pressure to have your kids finish everything on their plate, because like your kids will have a better sense of their body at that point of what they feel satiated at. And you know, sometimes kids are being rebellious and just not eating because they want to eat crap. But if you focus on feeding your kids like good food and just eating until they're good, they're full, then that's the most important part. So many people are like, no, you gotta eat all of that. There's starving kids in Africa. Like there's like
there's programming.
it's programming. It really is, and it's led to this
Scarcity
like
mindset.
it's led to this thing where U.S. portions are so big, everybody feels such a pressure to finish their food. And it's like I can't even go to a fast food place anymore and eat all of the food I get. It's like the portion sizes are out of control, and it's like
Yeah.
it's like 1,200 calories every time you go to eat, and like most of the time, like I think my calories are working out to like 2,400 right now. So you're saying you can go to a fast food for one meal and get half of your calories?
Yeah.
Like that's a huge portion size. No wonder everybody's huge.
My wife and I got a shake. We each got one when we
Yeah.
were eating at this place,
Yeah.
and it was like 1,200 calories. Just I was like, holy crap! No wonder everybody's fat. Like if I
Yeah.
did this all the time,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
I
But
was like,
like,
wow.
being mindful of how you are with what you eat is super important. And a lot of people just eat just because, like you said, like we don't fill the tank up in your car just because.
Yeah. Oh man, it looks fun to pull into the gas station, fuel up.
Yeah. No.
We don't do that.
No. And we have like this ability to store energy because we've evolved in a way that like you wouldn't ever know when your next meal was. So you got to have like stored energy. And so you overeat, and it's not necessarily a bad thing for your body because it's like, okay, I'm just going to store that. And, you think about that programming, it's like people are always hungry because of that.
Yep.
Because it's like you never know when you're going to get your next meal.
What are you looking up, Skylar?
Okay, so I was wanting to look up what percentage of America is obese, and because a lot of people will get offended about this topic we're talking about, I think, and I hope you do, because that means you need to make a change, right?
Yeah.
That's feedback for yourself.
Truth hurts.
But I was looking up, what percentage of America is obese? So it says a closer look at the U.S. numbers in adults. Roughly 2 out of 3 U.S. adults are overweight or obese, 69%,
2 out of 3.
and 1 out of 3 are obese. So, and then I looked up what's the actual definition of obese. So, for women with more than 30% body fat and men with more than 20% body fat are considered obese. So, stop it.
Stop it.
Well, this goes back to this instant gratification. So we know that our bodies don't know when we're going to get our next meal, and that's stressful. So you want to like people want to eat, and they feel comfortable when they eat because they feel like
They're taken care of.
And that instant gratification is more pleasing to them than realizing the damage that being overweight and obese is. So the hardest part about the diet and being that big is not in the moment. It's realizing what effect it'll have down the road, how much it will inhibit your life, and how much it is harming your health span, not necessarily your lifespan, because a lot of people live to be pretty old being overweight, but their quality of life is terrible because your body's not equipped to handle that much. And you can actually look at that and say people that are overly big muscular size are the same way.
Yeah.
Your body's not meant to handle like that, like being huge
That
bodybuilder,
heavy.
huge bodybuilder status. Like maybe slowly over time, like over 30 years of building your body, maybe your body's adapted to it. But like people that jump on steroids and get freaking huge, like your body's not equipped for that. So a lot of people don't really want to connect those two. It's like that instant gratification is so much better than realizing the effect it's going to have down the road.
Well, and this ties so much to like the mental, mental toughness and stuff, right? Because I was just thinking about in my business having the opportunity to help people with their insurances. You guys would freak out if you've seen how many people are type 2 diabetic.
Mm-hmm.
Type 2 diabetic is 100%, like there's nothing genetic about it.
Yeah.
It's 100% what you eat, how you take care of yourself, right? Like I've got clients that husband and wife are both type 2, just like disgusting unhealthy. And they're both on 2-3 different kinds of insulin, all these pills. They're spending $1,000-$1,500 a month just on prescriptions just to stay alive. And then they, complain. And it's like, well, you could freaking reverse this.
Yes, it's your doing.
Yeah. So like that mental toughness, discipline of things too, right?
Yeah.
Like it all
Well-
ties in there. And honestly, like it's some of the best things for me to see, because like I tell my wife all the time, I'm like, we have to stay healthy because you
Yeah.
should see how expensive this crap is
Oh.
and how bad it is for you. And you know,
So get this, one of my friends, and I'm not going to name any names here, but one of my friends' family members was like talking about this type of stuff, and they're talking about health and fitness and whatnot, and one of their family members was like, "Well, just wait till you have to take heart medication like I do." This person is massively overweight and obese.
Yeah.
Just wait until you have to take heart medication like me. I'm like,
that ain't gonna happen, buddy.
you think that that's just like a natural thing? Like,
Yeah.
there's very, very few people that have genetic things that make them get to that point. And even if you do, it's still in your ability to control that.
You know what's interesting? My real dad's dad passed away of like a heart attack or something in like late 40s.
Yeah.
It's like super early, right? So because of that, my mom's always had my heart checked, like when I was going through school. And like even now, if I ever get my blood tested or something, I'll just be like, hey, will you double check? And they're like, why? There's nothing wrong.
Yeah.
I'm like, interesting.
Yeah.
You know, everybody thinks it's this hereditary, all those things. But I've been mindful of that. So I've always like, I'm like, I don't want to die in my 40s, right? So I remember thinking that as a kid. I'm like, I have to stay in good shape because I don't want that. And to see the results all the time of like, they're like, you have like not even 0.1 effects of any problems with your heart.
Well,
I'm like, that's interesting.
Something that's interesting to me when I talk to people about this, and this goes for alcohol, it goes for cigarettes, it goes for being fat and eating like crap. Most people say that they're like, I'm not going to live, past X age, so I don't even care. Like I had a coworker that was like, I'm not going to live past 40. I don't even care. And I'm like,
crap.
what?
Why would you set yourself up for that?
But here's the thing, is what they don't understand is it doesn't even affect your lifespan as much as it does your health span. So I've talked about this on an episode, and maybe I bring it up, but like your health span and your lifespan are a little bit different. Like you do see people that take terrible care of their body that live for a long time.
Oh, into their 90s. Like it's
But
crazy.
most of the time they are in terrible shape,
They can't
and
do
it's
nothing.
miserable.
Yeah. They have a nurse coming in to take care of them.
Bedridden.
Bedridden.
And that can even come as early as your 50s.
Yeah.
And you may live a really long time being in terrible, terrible condition.
Yep.
It's more about how long will you be healthy than how long are you going to live? Because a lot of times, not a lot of things actually affect how long you live as much as people like to make it out, but it is your health span. And you could develop a health problem that is going to kill you, but a lot of times it just makes everything miserable, especially because of modern medicine being able to expand and like control things for so long. So that's why you get so many people living on medication and all of this stuff for years and years and years. Terrible shape, can't even barely get up off the ground, like all of this stuff. And they just think it's normal. Like imagine the difference if you just took care of yourself, be in the same place, the same age, but able to run and play with your grandkids,
Yeah. Skylar, you said your mom was way into it.
Yeah.
So like what was your experience growing up? Like did you love it? Like you were on the bandwagon of it? You're like, this is stupid. Like what was your experience with the whole growing up with your mom being like that?
I mean, I feel like every kid's favorite food is candy, right? Halloween's the best day of the year. You get free candy from all your neighbors. It's the only time you can take candy from strangers. So I wasn't on board with it. I feel like I would go to my friends' homes and there would be all this microwave stuff that you could eat that was delicious. And they'd always have like a box of donuts or cookies or something on the counter. And we'd have that every once in a while, but not like all the time. And so my experience with it wasn't as fun, but I'm extremely grateful to my mom now. Cause at the time, she went vegan for a little while. Not vegan. She just didn't eat meat, like
Vegetarian?
specifically. Yeah, vegetarian. That's it. Yeah. So she went vegetarian for a while. And so every time we went out to eat to like a buffet, me and my brothers would all just get meat.
Oh gosh.
And she noticed this and kind of was like, okay, wait, maybe there's a reason they're craving meat so much.
No kidding.
So then she brought that back in and we were really happy.
You're like, yeah. Yeah, I would have left. I'd have left home.
Well,
Right.
an important thing there is like eating whole foods is good and it's nice and you feel good after too. Like eating meats and like, you mentioned chicken and like all of that type of stuff. But like people will always ask me what I want for dessert. Most of the time, if I'm eating a second plate, it's a second plate of the main meal, not dessert.
Yeah.
And I don't even like dessert really. Like there's a couple desserts that I really enjoy, but most of the time it's not like a cake or pie or anything like that. Like I would so much rather have more meat or like a well-cooked meal than a freaking loaded up sugar dense like dessert. And that's just come, I think, over the like as I've been working out, it just for some reason it just makes me feel gross.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to touch on one more part about growing up is, I didn't get to eat as many of the yummy foods that all my friends ate, but I was the only one with a 6-pack.
Yeah.
And that felt a lot better than
No
not
kidding.
eating the foods. Right?
Yeah. No kidding.
A lot of people say abs are made in the kitchen, and still I think that's
They
half
are.
true. Like, you have to eat healthy, you have to be at a certain body fat percentage, but you still have to do some of the work, right?
Yeah.
Would you guys like work out too, like as a family?
Not as a family, no, but we were really active. Like we would go boating, which means we were getting pulled up on skis, on wakeboards. She'd take us to the park a good amount of time, so we're jumping around, playing. We had a trampoline. I think that was probably the biggest reason why I had abs
yeah.
at such a young age. Is there's so much core that goes into it. I remember one time going to one of those trampoline parks. I think it's called Airborne, and I spent 2 hours there. And this is probably when I was like 17 or something. And the next day, my whole core was sore from jumping around.
Yeah.
You know, like I'm not lifting these heavy
Yeah.
weights or anything. It's just that because your body has to tense up every time. So I think it was the environment.
So just very active.
And and like going on hikes and going in the mountains, like it was a lifestyle of like doing that stuff. And they limited us on video games. It was 30 minutes on the weekdays. And if it was your birthday, then you got an hour and your brothers got 30 minutes with you. Like we were pretty limited on that. And we didn't watch too many movies. So it was very, they kind of created our whole environment and rules around that. So that way we were healthy and weren't like just like screen sucking all day long.
Yeah.
That's so hard to do that nowadays. There's little kids that know how to use iPads.
You
better.
should see my little girl.
better than-
She'll be 3 in March. She will just grab my phone or do. I'm like, holy crap. It's crazy. Dude, I didn't have TV. My mom and dad got rid of TV, and they would not allow video games at all. So I'd go to a friend's house and just freaking,
Same.
That's a little bit different from my upbringing because like I was able to do basically whatever I wanted, but we were just active in general.
Yeah.
So like my dad played a lot of basketball. My entire childhood, I was actually more interested in playing basketball than video games. Like when I was younger, all the way up until probably 7th grade, I think I was on the 7th grade team.
Were your friends into basketball?
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
I think
that
that's
as
another,
well.
it's who you surround yourself
That's-
with.
Well,
Yeah.
but like a lot of the times I played it by myself. Like, so we had a court, and I remember multiple years in a row, I'd go out and shovel our basketball court with some snow, and we lived up in Pleasant View, and it was like a foot of snow. Sometimes I'd go out and shovel, being like 10 years old, and go play basketball because, like, that's what I wanted to do. Like, I was so focused on wanting to be better at that, and it's like that was more fun to me, and I felt good after playing, and in practicing that was like it was fun. But it was like because my family was active, and like we had these activities that I wanted to do beside from the video games.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting here, been thinking for a long time as we're going over this conversation, but like, why don't people take care of their bodies? And when I think about that, I think they have low self-worth. I think that's probably the first place you need to start in your fitness like journey or health journey is your self-worth. Because if you think about it, if you're given or you pay $1,000 for a car, how often are you detailing it, cleaning it, vacuuming it, checking
Very
the oil?
much.
Not all that often. Now, if you want to go and buy $100,000 car, is it getting parked in the garage? Yes. Is it being cleaned regularly? Yes. Washes, waxing, checking the oil all the time. Like you are maintaining that thing because you have a lot more value into that. Like you've invested into it. So I think the more you invest into your own body, the more you're going to value it. So the more you're going to say, I worked out 2 hours a day. I don't want to undo all that by eating this huge meal, right?
No
Well,
kidding.
so that goes back to what I said. Maybe it was our last recording. People like to think that somebody else has a better ability to do something than they do. So like you look at someone that's overweight and they'll be like, I'm just big boned. I just can't lose weight.
Yeah, I'm big boned.
And then they get an X-ray.
Yeah.
And they're the same size.
And even if you are big boned, that doesn't mean you put on you might weigh more. That doesn't mean you put on fat more. And it still has nothing to do with you needing to take care of yourself. Everybody's different that way.
Well,
People will look at someone's physical ability and then they'll just chalk that up to you being able to sorry.
Technical difficulties.
It happens.
It died.
It happens. But they'll just chalk that up to like, okay, you're basically in their subconscious, they're thinking, okay, this person is like better than me in some way, like physically. They have something that I don't. Like they're trying to make that excuse, and then that debilitates their desire. They like think it's not possible because, oh yeah, this person's just born that way, or he's just genetically gifted, or like they want to think someone is better than them and has better opportunities because of that.
Yeah, but then you see those pictures on social media of somebody that was just freaking obese, and now they're shredded.
And those people conveniently like ignore that.
Yeah. So Skylar, like how your whole thing of what you just shared, like why you think people don't.
Yeah.
I think to go with that, the comments, what other people say. I know for me, that's been one thing. We were actually down in southern Utah last year, and with some family on, I don't want, in some other thing, side of the family, right? And I just don't want people to think I'm targeting them. But there's kind of been some weird things because of like how much I post on social media and do, and they always have to make like jab comments, right? So it got done with the birthday party, we were cleaning stuff up, and there was this table, like those folding tables, right? And somebody's like, "Oh, you need help with that?" And I was like, "Oh no, I got this one. Like, if you want to grab the next one, And they're like, "Okay." And the one guy's like, "Oh yeah, Jared works out. He posts about it." And I'm like, "Dude, like, you really got to make that kind of a jab comment because I work out and you don't, and like you've got a belly and I don't."
Exactly.
So I think for a lot of people, why they don't work out, why they don't focus on getting in shape, is because it's not normal now.
Yeah.
It like my wife and I were somewhere. I can't remember where we were, and I was looking around, and I'm like, we're not even in that credible of shape. Like, I want to get in even better shape. And I looked around, and I'm like, we are in the best. There was hundreds of people, and like I just kept looking. I was like, my wife and I are in the best shape in this whole room. I'm like, that's sad, So I think that's a big thing for a lot of people, because I know like the comments that have been said to me. Luckily, I've built a thick skin, and I was like, I don't give a crap. Like, whatever, I'm going to continue to do it. But I know a lot of people that are like, yeah, somebody made a comment. And I'm like, forget that. Like, it's your life, And I think to go along with like what you said, Skylar, that's another big thing is the comments and it's not normal. So people are going to say stuff and think stuff. And it sucks that it has to be that way,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, and I think people want to make it out to be harder than it is.
Oh, yeah.
So I do think it is mildly difficult, but I think it's probably one of the easier things, like, especially if you just get started.
Yeah.
And, going into the new year, if you're making resolutions, your resolution shouldn't be trying to work out every single day for 2024. You should go into it saying, okay, I want to lose X amount of weight. I'm going to do that by eating, this many calories and working out like a couple times a week. And then like having goals, like breaking that down into smaller ones. Like when I started working out, like I said before, the best thing that helped me was the goals. Like I was always pushing for, a certain amount of weight on weighted chin-ups or weighted dips or like incline dumbbell press or something like that. I was always working towards something, and that helped me keep going.
You gamified it.
And a lot of people go into it and they don't know, and then it's hard to find that out. And so they just go in, they just are like, I'm going to work out. And then they go, and then people look at them weird, or they get comments, or like, it's stuff like that, and then it's just like debilitating, and then they fall off.
Yep.
There's a lot of reasons, and I think the best thing you can do is really just like map that out. I mean, people don't think about it that way, but have goals and work towards them, and don't get upset if you fall off a day. Just get back to it
and do it for you, nobody else.
Yeah. And
do it for you.
That goes to having a purpose and value in it. Like why are you doing this? where do you want to see yourself?
Look good, feel good, play good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can I rapid fire a bunch of questions that only need a one word answer to both of you?
Heck yeah.
Sure.
Okay. Who should work out?
Everyone.
Will working out improve your relationships?
Yes.
Yep.
Will it improve your marriage?
Yes.
Do you need a gym to work out?
I don't
No.
have one.
Do you need a lot of equipment to work out?
Nope.
Will a 5-minute workout improve your fitness level?
Yep.
Yes.
Let's see, I had more. Is a better workout morning or night?
Doesn't matter.
Whatever
Just getting
works.
it in.
Will the friends you hang around determine your fitness and health level?
Yep.
Yes.
Will the content you consume determine your fitness and health level?
Yep.
Yeah.
Will an accountability partner help you to an extreme level in your fitness and health
Yep.
journey?
Definitely can. Yeah.
That's about all I got.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like a bunch of little things.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but it's so simple, right?
It's so
like
simple.
those were simple questions. Will a 5-minute workout help? Yeah, because I guarantee you start with 5 minutes and you're gonna be like, this is actually kind of cool.
Mhm.
Next thing you know, you're gonna be working out for
There-
30, 45
there's-
minutes.
There's so many people out there that are putting out free content
Oh,
for zero equipment. And
I
know-
have a bench that can do incline, decline, some stuff like that.
and a
A
couple,
couple bands because I live in a town that
Yeah.
doesn't have a gym at all, right? A couple bands that you hook to a door, so I can do some like chest and back and some stuff like that, and then the Bowflex adjustable weights that go up to 52.5 pounds. That's it.
when
There's so many workouts you can do.
people are like, I don't have a gym, or I don't have this, I don't have that, and I'm like,
Excuse.
when I was going to the gym a ton, and when COVID hit, the gym shut down, and I switched to a zero equipment body weight program almost immediately. And I mean, you can get insanely strong and arguably more ripped doing that.
Yep.
And you can look at it like it's a little bit twofold. Like you're working with your body weight, your body's trying to make it easier. It's probably going to help you lose weight a little bit better. Like you're working out with the weight that you have. So your body's trying to make that easier.
I met a guy about 10 years ago that his goal was to do 1,000 push-ups every day. Freaking jacked.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, so you like do that and then go to the gym and do other stuff? And he's like, that's it. The dude was like,
Yep.
he would run over NFL players. Like the dude was massive.
Well, if you look at Alex Hormozy, he talks about lifting weights and stuff, and everybody's out here talking about like the most efficient way to build muscle. And he's like, you know what? It's you can be out here talking about the most efficient, you know, what split is the best, what days to work out, what body parts, you know, 2-day a week, 3-day a week, every day. I'm just about more volume. And so he just does more of everything. And there's really, as long as you are pushing yourself and doing more of weight, more reps, more something every time you work out, your body's gonna build and respond to that.
period, if you do anything, you're going to get
Anything.
results.
Anything.
I mean, it's like we overcomplicate it.
Yep.
You know?
Well, that's the information age. You know, there's
Oh,
so
man.
much information, and that really adds to that barrier of like, I don't even know where to start.
Yeah.
So there's so many barriers to entry for people,
Yeah.
except for it's self-imposed. And if you think about what those actually are and what that means, it's like you actually can get started like right away, right
Oh,
now.
yeah.
You can literally get done listening to this, find something online and start working out. And you're like right where you're at.
Drop down and give me 20 push-ups, right?
I was about to say that.
It's really all it takes. And
Yeah.
you can get big and healthy and in shape from no equipment,
Amen.
I like it.
even though I have a home gym.
Yeah, you got a nice setup there in your garage.
But you can acquire that stuff slowly. Like,
Yeah.
yes, I
Yeah.
just bought a treadmill yesterday.
Yeah.
So I can do incline, walking up hills, because where I live, it's been -20. So going for walks is not fun at all. So I'm like, there's a lot of good workouts that I can do on that treadmill.
If you get antsy looking for things to do, you can go look up the knees over toes guy, and you can start walking on your treadmill backwards
Yeah.
and with resistance on that, and it freaking it's
Yeah.
awesome.
That's why I'm like,
Awesome.
I
for
wanted
your
a
legs.
treadmill because you can do the incline, walking up hills, put a weighted vest, or there's so many things you can do
other
that way.
things.
Because I do love, like, my fitness level. I want to be endurance type stuff,
Mhm.
you know? And so I enjoy going for walks and keeping some cardio up so I can have that endurance and, you know, going hunting and hiking and da-da-da-da-da. So, but I don't go for runs and do all those crazy things. I'm like, you know, 20, 30-minute walk, get my body moving, work those,
That's-
you know, leg muscles. I'm like,
That's the
this is
cardio
perfect.
you need.
Yeah, that's
Jogging
it.
is essentially pointless unless you're
Over-
trying to be a runner.
Yeah, it's overrated. Yeah.
Sprints are really good. Walking's really good.
Yeah.
Jogging,
It sucks anyway.
you can do
so
without it.
I'm glad there's
That's
very
an,
little benefit.
that's an important thing to add outside of what I do at work, which is, you know, some cardio. Sometimes I don't do any cardio.
Yeah.
Just lift weights.
Yeah.
So, and I could probably run a mile in 6 minutes right now. So it's like,
I'm gonna challenge you on that. I'm just kidding.
Awesome. Let's do
Right
it.
after.
My last mile I ran
In your-
was 5:30.
I want you to run 6 minutes in your boots.
I probably could. Probably in these ones. As long as I don't run on ice right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
Gonna have to wait a little while.
Heck yeah.
Well, I guess this is coming up on time. This is a wrap. We went a little bit longer this time, but
That's
you guys got anything to add?
The only thing I can think of is one, if you're overweight, haven't worked out in a while, we're not hating on you. We're not, you know, but we are here to like kind of tell you the truth, give you real talk, and, you know, just start with where you're at. And it's okay where you're at, but it's not okay to stay that way.
You really need to take control of that and do it for yourself and come to a realization, I think, that it's not working in your favor at all.
If you won't work out for you, work out for your family.
And
like
that's
that.
another one too.
That's a
It's
good
another one. I mean, and I will add actually that as you age, it is even more important to work out. That's something that's really hard for people to understand, but strength is sort of comparable to longevity, and how long you can live and how well you can live is a lot to do with how strong you are. And that's not to say you need to go deadlift 300 pounds or anything, but as you age, you definitely need to be working out. Because imagine, you know, you have your grandkids and you're watching after them and you need to go pick one up off the floor and you don't ever do anything like that and you throw out your back. So there's a lot of things here and there, but it's like focus on being healthy, if not for you, but for your family, so they don't have to take care of you when you are debilitated.
I like it.
Beautiful.
It's a wrap. Thanks guys for coming and recording here. This is the second installment of 4. So
See you guys next time,
see you
or
guys
next
time.
week, or 2 weeks. However often
Whatever.
we release it.
Whatever.
Just stay tuned.
Stay tuned.